What's up everybody, I'm TheJoshElkin and today I'm making stuffed shells, but I'm also making a stuffed shell grilled cheese. Let's get on with the recipe. I know what you're probably thinking to yourself, Josh, why are you doing this to us? Another carb on carb loaded sandwich? And yes, because my favorite thing to eat with pasta is garlic bread. So it makes sense to make a sandwich out of the pasta using garlic bread. When you see the look of this sandwich and you see how awesome that cross section is, you're gonna be making grilled cheese sandwiches using garlic bread and pasta forever. Now on with the recipe. I don't think you guys noticed it, but that whole time I was talking, we were boiling the shells. And I'm using some of that pasta water to help spread out the minced up garlic. Now what I mean by that is, when you use a microplane to mince garlic, sometimes it's hard to spread that garlic throughout the recipe. But the trick for that is to add a little bit of water to the garlic and then add that garlic water to whatever you're putting in the recipe. Moving right along, it's time to get on the tomato sauce. To this pot, I'm adding some canned chopped up tomatoes, and then I'm gonna add a whole bunch of different herbs and different spices. I'm using thyme, oregano, a little bit of rosemary, but if you wanna know which herbs and which spices specifically, plus the denominations, you can check out the link in the description down below. Once the tomato sauce comes to a boil, I'm going to turn off the heat and then I'm going to run it through a hand blender. Now, if you don't have a handheld blender, you can use a regular blender. If you don't have either, you can use a food processor. The key is to blend this up as smooth as possible. All right, now we're going to make the filling for each one of these shells. And the first step to this filling is sauteing some onions. Once the onions get soft and translucent, about 3 minutes of sauteing, I'm going to add some Italian sausage. Now, this is mild, ground up Italian sausage, but if you fancy yourself that spicy Italian sausage, then go for it. All right, remember I was talking about that garlic water? Well, this is where we got to use it. You see, if I put the minced garlic directly in without any water, it will kind of just clump up and stay in one place. Adding the water helps spread the garlic. And don't worry about the actual water, it's gonna cook off. Now on to the second part of this filling, the cheese part. In this bowl, I have some ricotta and some shredded mozzarella. I'm gonna add a little bit of breadcrumbs, some Parmesan, and an egg. Mix it all together and get ready for the next step, the spinach. Here's a quick tip. When a recipe calls for a lot of spinach, I'm talking about like 2, 3, 4 cups, consider using the frozen cooked spinach. Not only do you get a lot more bang for your buck, but you don't have to cook it all down like you would some fresh spinach. In the end, it becomes the same consistency anyways. Now the key to making this spinach after boiling it is straining it. So I'm going to put it on 2 paper towels and then squeeze it as hard as I can to release as much moisture as I can. Once the spinach is drained, I'm going to add it to the bowl of cheese mixture, mix it all together, and then once leaving the sausage to cool, I'm going to add the sausage to the bowl. This is our stuffed shell filling. Now look, if you have any filling left over, consider making a lasagna. You can take this, put it on a pizza dough. You can even just take this filling, omit the shells, and make a grilled cheese off of this. It's that delicious. But I can't start talking about grilled cheese before making the actual stuffed shell dish. Speaking of dishes, in this Pyrex, I'm gonna add as much tomato sauce as needed to cover the entire bottom. This is gonna be the base to the stuffed shells. Then I'm gonna generously stuff each one of these shells in this sausage ricotta cheese mixture. I could smell it. And if you're making this at home, so could you. Before adding it to a preheated oven, I'm gonna cover it in some aluminum foil. Now the idea here is to cook it in the oven just until everything is melted, then take off the aluminum foil, add a little bit of shredded mozzarella on top, and hit it with the broil. The idea is to melt the cheese on top and get it golden brown and crispy. Now while I was explaining what to do with the dish in the oven, I was prepping what I needed to make the grilled cheese. So I have a little bit of butter in this microwave safe bowl, and I'm gonna add a little bit of parsley to the butter. On top of that, I'm gonna mince a little bit of garlic in there to make parsley garlic butter for our garlic bread. I should have used a mortar and pestle, but I didn't have one, so I'm actually using this drink muddler for cocktails. The point is, use whatever you can to smash the room temperature butter and all the ingredients together. Typically, when making a grilled cheese, I would spread the bread with some mayonnaise, but for this, I'm looking at a garlic butter flavor, so I made sure that the butter was room temperature and spreadable. And then I coated it on either side of this sandwich. All right, this is an important step. You do not want the pan to be scorching hot. You kind of want it on medium heat. Yeah, it'll take a little longer to make the grilled cheese, but you won't burn the bread. The idea is to melt the cheese in between the shells so that when we pull it apart, you get a cheese pull. Now, back at the baked shell situation, I'm adding more shredded cheese. I told you guys, this is a cheese-heavy, carb-loaded pasta bread experience. There's so many things that are delicious in that sentence, I can't even keep up. Speaking of so many things that are delicious, the baked shells are done and oh my goodness. Crispy on the outside, ooey and gooey from the cheese, tangy from the tomato sauce, and super savory on the inside. You know what would be good for this? Making it into a grilled cheese. The bread is crispy, the cheese is starting to melt. I'm gonna add 2 shells per sandwich and a little bit more sauce. I get the same feeling after making every grilled cheese. What does the inside look like? Whoa, okay. Here we go. 2 incredibly awesome recipes made from one incredibly awesome concept. Stuffed shells. We got sausage, ricotta, Parmesan, mozzarella stuffed with spinach, all tucked into this little shell. A shell you can eat with a knife and fork, or you can eat with your hands. But there's one more way you can eat it, like a sandwich. But this is not just any sandwich. I take my grilled cheese making to a very serious level. 2 slices of garlic bread, 2 slices of mozzarella cheese, some extra sauce, stuffed with our stuffed shells. The sausage that's stuffed in the shells makes this entire dish. I could take that mixture, put it on a finger and eat it, and I'll be happy. But will you be happy? Will you be happy knowing that this recipe is available for you to make just by clicking the link down below or hitting up recipechampions.com, where I publish all my recipes, including these 2. Bye.